Now that we've seen how the engineering work can be planned and tracked, let's take a look at the system itself, starting with the high-level requirements for the overall aviary system. Clicking that part of the product breakdown structure will allow us to navigate into the requirements management part of the platform, specifically the requirements for the overall aviary system. Here we can see there are modules for both the aviary stakeholder and system level requirements. Let's start with the stakeholder requirements. Here we have a rich editing environment, including pictures, rich text, tables, even sketching. In a traditional environment, we'd have to switch to another tool, such as Microsoft PowerPoint or Visio, to create simple sketches, and then copy and paste our work into the requirements document. Not so here. This sketch of the high-level aviary architecture was created right here in Engineering Requirements Management, using nothing more than the web browser. Now let's look at traceability, which is often mandated in many industry standards, such as DO178B and C. Traditionally, traceability is maintained in separate documents, such as spreadsheets, a manual process prone to error, very costly to maintain, and outdated as soon as the author clicks Save. Here, traceability is added directly in the web browser. Now here we can see not only the stakeholder requirements for the aviary, but also the system requirements for the aviary further downstream that satisfy them. And we can also see gap analysis, which of these requirements has no traceability downstream. Let's follow one of these links to the next level down. Here we're now looking at the system level requirements for the aviary. Now if I apply this view, I can see up and downstream traceability, the aviary stakeholder requirements upstream, and the system level requirements for the hummingbird downstream. Now of course traceability goes beyond just requirements. If I apply this view, I can see the elements from the functional analysis model for the aviary system that trace to these requirements. If I apply this view, then I can see the test cases that validate these aviary system level requirements. Now we'll look at those other domains in a few minutes, but first let's look at another way to see this multi-level traceability. Let's apply this view and we'll navigate back up to the stakeholder level requirements for the aviary. If I select this stakeholder requirement, then I can open this Links Explorer to see all of the traceability from that requirement. I can see that it's satisfied by two system requirements for the aviary downstream, and it's also affected by a project change request against the aviary in Engineering Workflow Management. Now we can expand that tree manually, but we can also ask ELM to do it for us. We can choose the types of link that we're interested in. Let's start with satisfied by for requirements traceability, and then we'll choose any number of levels. Now we can see that our aviary system level requirements are then further satisfied by system requirements for the hummingbird, which are then satisfied by software level requirements for the avionics subsystem. Let's set that back to 1, and now we'll add in some more traceability. We'll add in validated by for test cases. And we'll also add some traceability to architecture. And let's choose a higher number this time. Now we can see that in this traceability tree we have test cases at the aviary system level, at the hummingbird system level, and also at the avionics software level. We have models at each of the levels, and here we also have rich hover. And if it's a design diagram, we can view that diagram right here in Requirements Management without any need to go to the actual modelling part of the platform. Once the requirements have been authored and traced, then they're reviewed. Reviewing is built into Requirements Management. Here we're looking at this review of the aviary stakeholder requirements as a participant. We can see our overall progress and also a more detailed view of our progress on the set of stakeholder requirements in this review. Here we can see the overall review, the other participants and their roles and their progress, and any comments made during the review are maintained automatically for audit purposes. Stakeholders and domain experts can participate in reviewing the requirements for the aviary using nothing more than a web browser. And the results are immediately available, so no more passing around copied documents and waiting for and collating results. Next, let's see how requirements are elaborated, verified and validated using models. Now, of course, we have models at each of the levels, but let's look at the Hummingbird. First, we'll follow our traceability path from the aviary stakeholder requirements to the aviary system requirements, and then to the system level requirements for the Hummingbird. This view shows the traceability into the functional analysis that's been done for the Hummingbird system. That functional analysis starts with use cases, as you can see in this linked use case diagram. Each requirement is then associated with one of those use cases in the model, and that traceability is shown here in the columns in requirements management, and it's also shown graphically in the model. For example, here is a requirements diagram in the Hummingbird model that shows the traceability from the manually directed flight use case to the system requirements here in ELM. Which brings us to designs. Let's click that linked diagram and move to the architecture management part of the platform.